You know all this hype about AI you see everywhere now? Writing poems, composing music. You'd think it could do just about anything, right?
It's really taken off lately, hasn't it?
Yeah, but what about the less glamorous stuff, like the things we rely on machines for every day, keeping our data safe, that sort of thing?
Yeah.
I mean, can AI really handle the nitty-gritty?
Right.
Well, that's what we're diving into today because it turns out it might be a little too soon to hand over the reins to AI when it comes to cybersecurity, at least.
Yeah, there are definitely some kinks to work out.
Today's deep dive is on something called the CI Ninja Challenge. And let me tell you, it really exposed some vulnerabilities in AI security that are pretty unsettling.
Yeah, it's a good lesson in the limits of automation, especially in a field like cybersecurity where, the stakes are so high.
Absolutely. One little mistake and it's game over. So imagine this, a system called CI Ninja, designed to automatically find and fix those little cracks in software that hackers love to exploit.
Sort of like an automated security guard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty good in theory, right?
Tie me up.
But, and this is a big but, CI Ninja uses a large language model, an LLM, to do its thing. So it's basically just sifting through code, trying to make it airtight, but doing it based on patterns it's learned, not necessarily like deep understanding.
And that's really the core of the issue. LLMs are powerful tools, no doubt, but they're trained on these massive data sets of text and code, right?
Right.
So they're really good at mimicking patterns and relationships, but not truly getting the nuances of security the way a human expert would.
Right. They don't really understand the why, just the how. Okay, so that's our AI security guard. Now for the challenge. The challenge is basically saying, all right, CI Ninja, prove yourself. I bet you can't stop me from getting my hands on a file called flag.txt on your system.
So it's kind of like a virtual game of capture the flag.
Exactly. And that file, it's not even really about the data inside. It's just about proving you can get in.
Right. It's more about the skill, like planting your flag on conquered territory.
Exactly. So how do you capture the flag in this scenario? Well, it all comes down to how you interact with CI Ninja.
How you use its own rules against it.
Yeah, and we've actually got these accounts, both from the folks who built it and some who successfully hacked it, and they paint a fascinating picture of how this all went down. So you're basically dropped into a command line interface, like those old computer terminals you see in movies.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
So you can look at the code,
Mm.
run the program, which, by the way, starts out as a simple hello world example.
Keep it simple.
Right, but the real action happens when you submit a vulnerability report.
And that's where things get really interesting. It's where human ingenuity can actually find a way to sort of trick the AI.
So you're saying we're social engineering
Uh-huh.
and artificial intelligence.
In a way, yeah.
Because that vulnerability report,
Yeah.
that's your way in, right? That's how you talk to the LLM.
Yeah.
And in the CI Ninja Challenge, somebody figured out how to use words, plain and simple, to turn this AI security guard against itself.
It's like they found a back door, but instead of code, they used language.
Exactly. So how do you slip a note to an AI? How does that even work?
Well, it's called prompt injection. And it's kind of like it sounds. Remember how we talked about LLMs being all about patterns?
Right. Finding those patterns in
Exactly. They see certain phrases, structures, and they assume it means something specific. And prompt injection is all about exploiting that, using those assumptions against AI.
So you're saying you can trick the AI by using the
Right.
right words.
In a nutshell, yeah.
Okay. So what's the prompt here? Is it like you send the AI a text message with like a secret code word or something?
Not quite. Think of it more like the vulnerability report itself is the prompt. So the attacker, they craft this report, making it seem like there's this really dangerous security flaw in the code, right? But hidden within that report, disguised as a necessary fix, are instructions to access that flag.txt file.
Wait, so it's like tricking someone into giving you their password by disguising it as a security question or something like that?
You're getting warmer. It's about manipulating the AI, tricking it into doing something it shouldn't. And the CI Ninja walkthrough actually gives a perfect example of how this was done. The attackers, that is, claimed there was a vulnerability, but not in the code itself, but in the underlying operating system.
Sneaky.
Right. And the only way to fix it, they said, was to create a new function, which they called safety call.
And I'm guessing this safety call wasn't so much about safety as it was about grabbing that flag, huh?
Bingo. They even went as far as to specify that the safety call function should only run after the hello world part of the program. Like they're trying to make it seem like everything's above board.
It's like they're playing chess with the AI, staying one step ahead.
Exactly. Because remember, the LLM, it has no concept of being tricked. It just sees instructions that fit a pattern. It recognizes, a security concern in this case, and it follows those instructions without question.
So the LLM sees this fake vulnerability report, thinks it's doing the right thing by creating the safety call, and boom, game over.
Exactly. And what's even more concerning is this isn't just some theoretical exercise. This vulnerability, this potential for manipulation, it's a real concern for any system that relies on an LLM to process information and make decisions.
So this CI Ninja challenge, it's kind of like a canary in a coal mine. It's a warning about the potential dangers of putting too much trust in AI, even if it's designed to protect us.
Absolutely. And it raises some big questions about the future of AI and security. If something like this, a system designed to find and fix vulnerabilities, can be tricked with just a few well-crafted sentences, what does that mean for all the other ways we're using AI?
Especially as we're giving AI access to more and more sensitive stuff. Financial data, medical records, personal messages, stuff you really don't want falling into the wrong hands. So what are we doing about it? Is there any way to protect against this kind of attack? It's kind of scary when you think about it, right? That somebody could just use words like trick an AI into doing whatever they want. So what are we doing to protect ourselves? Are there any defenses against this kind of attack?
Well, the short answer is it's complicated, but researchers are definitely working on it. The OS Force actually lays out a few strategies that might help.
Okay, so what can we do?
Well, one big one is focusing on input validation and sanitization. Basically, it's like creating a security checkpoint for any information that's going into the AI system.
So instead of just blindly trusting whatever's coming in, it's more like double checking everything for like hidden messages or something.
Exactly. It's about looking for any suspicious patterns or structures that could mean there's malicious intent, like those sneaky commands we talked about in the CI Ninja attack.
Okay, so you're saying we need to teach AIs to be more skeptical. Got it.
Well, it's more than just that. It's also about teaching them to understand the context, Like, what's the intent behind the words? That's where things like context-aware filtering and output encoding come in.
So it's not just about what you say, but how the AI understands it.
Exactly. We got to teach these systems to think more critically about the information they're being fed, recognize when someone might be trying to pull a fast one.
That makes sense, but how do you even teach an AI to think critically? It's not like it can take a philosophy course.
Right, and that's why this is such a challenge. It requires a lot of research and development, constantly tweaking and updating these LLM models to try to stay one step ahead of the attackers.
So it's like an arms race. We're constantly trying to outsmart the bad guys who are trying to outsmart our AI. Makes you wonder, can we ever really secure these AI systems? Or is this just like the new normal for cybersecurity?
That's the million-dollar question. Even if we can't achieve perfect security, which, let's be real, is tough enough, even without AI, just understanding these vulnerabilities is a huge step in the right direction.
So what you're saying is, don't panic, but definitely be cautious.
Exactly. The CI Ninja Challenge, as unnerving as it is, really highlights how important it is not to just blindly trust any system, no matter how advanced it might seem.
Trust but verify.
Exactly. And maybe even more importantly, we have to be aware of the power of language itself. We saw how just a few sentences could throw off a whole AI system, right?
Right?
So imagine what someone could do with like a whole article, a news story, or even just, a social media post.
It's kind of creepy when you think about how easy it is to manipulate people with information, especially online. Now imagine if someone could weaponize that with AI.
It's a whole new world of information warfare out there.
That's a thought-provoking way to end our deep dive today. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Until next time, keep asking questions and, as always, dive deep.